Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today is another very exciting video because in 2022 I wanted to read 5 whole series, and we're on to series number 4, which is the Daevabad Trilogy. And so I will start reading The City of Brass today. I do have a long train ride, so I hope I can get some of this read, and I'm very excited because I've been meaning to pick this up since the first book came out. But I love binging series, so now I have them all. And yeah, we're gonna explore the series together in this vlog. I will update you always at the halfway point and when I finish the book, and I'll let you know all of my thoughts, spoiler free and also some spoilery, but I will always mark the spoiler parts so you can jump over them if you haven't read the series yet. So let's see what the Daevabad Trilogy does for me. So I'm halfway through City of Brass and I'm loving it so far. I've heard that a lot of people complain that this is kind of like too much YA or something like that in the first book, but I'm actually loving that. I love that it is easy to read, it's super interesting, easy to follow. The characters are so intriguing. In this one we basically have two storylines that we follow. First we have Nahri, and I did not look up how to pronounce the names, which I'm sorry for, but she is basically a bit of a con artist. She can heal people, but she sometimes also heals people that don't really need it to get some money. She's living in Cairo in, I think, the 1800s. And yeah, it's all about her trying to get by, but then she kind of does this ritual where she summons something and some other things are starting to try to kill her. So she's fleeing, and she's fleeing to the city of Daevabad. And then the second perspective we get a little bit later on is Ali, who is kind of the prince of Daevabad, and he's having some trouble with the way that in his kingdom certain people are treated. So basically we have jinn in this world, and there's also kind of half-bloods, so people who are half jinn and half human, and these are treated very badly, and Ali doesn't really agree with that, and he tries to change that, but he doesn't really know how because he can't go against his family who is ruling Daevabad. And these are the two perspectives we are following. And what I really love about this book is that both of the perspectives are so interesting that I'm never mad when we switch, because yeah, I just like them equally, which is very hard to do with two perspectives that at first don't really have too much to do with each other. So I think the first half of this book is just really masterfully done, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it. There is a lot of words on a page though, so it's definitely taking me a while to read this book, but I just try to enjoy it and not rush it, and so far that's working out really well for me. So I think I want to go into a couple of spoilery bits now. If you haven't read A City of Brass yet, I would recommend you skip over this part. I will mark it in the chapters so you can easily get to the part where I talk spoiler free about the second half of this book. So just skip ahead or stay if you want to hear the spoilers. Basically, the moment where I stopped reading right now is when Nari arrives in Daevabad, and that was such a good scene. Like, she just entered the throne room, and the last thing that basically happens is that the king addresses her with the name of her mother, it seems like. So that was just such a chill moment. Like, it felt really cool, and I'm so intrigued to see what happens now, because now we finally have the two main characters kind of in the same realm, the same city, so they might interact as well. I do love the kind of romantic tension that we get between Nari and the Devadara. I'm intrigued to see where that goes. I always do enjoy the kind of dynamic of a human girl and then some kind of magical being who is like thousands of years old, but can't help himself but fall for this like messy human. So I'm definitely here for that. I think it's also very interesting how we get like very different perspectives on Dara, because Nari doesn't really know anything about him, but whenever we hear about him from Ali's perspective, they obviously know some of the history, and so we get a glimpse on what he has done actually. And we know that he was enslaved. We now start to get a couple of little snippets of information on how that happened and who did it and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's very interesting to have these like two sides, like the kind of warrior, demon, whatever, and then this like grumpy guy who's just trying to save this little girl. And yeah, apart from that, I'm intrigued to see what happens with the whole mothers thing now, because the Ifrit basically said that they were sent by her mother, but she's supposed to be dead. But then we also learn that there might be a chance she's not dead actually, because there is some kind of magic that can resurrect certain jinn from their ashes, and we know that the mother was actually burned after she died. So that will be interesting to see, because right now it's just a big mystery where Nasri actually came from. But yeah, I'm loving this. I'm having so much fun reading this. I think that, as I said, the beginning is so strong. Just twists and turns and action and political intrigue. I'm here for it. I'm so excited to keep reading, and I'll update you when I get to the second part. Okay, I just finished reading City of Brass, and oh my god, was this amazing. Like the ending, like the last, I don't know, 60 to 100 pages were just so crazy, and it was really hard to put down in between. So yeah, it's good stuff. I think I would give this a first book probably 4.5 stars. It's not quite 5 stars for me, but very close. It's really, really, really good. And I'm very glad that I finally read this. It's really fast paced. I really loved both of our perspectives that we get, as I said before, and that didn't change until the end. I still enjoyed both of them, and I think that whenever we would switch, it was like for good reason. Like it felt like we should switch perspectives at this point. So yeah, I just think it was masterfully done. I think that all the like twists and turns at the end were so unexpected. Till the last page, you just have to keep reading. And yeah, I just had so much fun with this book. It is definitely chunky, like this is over 500 pages and the text is tiny. It actually reminded me of the Winter Night Trilogy, where the text was also super tiny in the second and third book. So it takes a while to read. But I'm very glad that I can go straight into the second book now, because yeah, I could not stop after this one. Like all the people who read this when it came out, I'm so sorry for you because you had to wait for the sequel. I could not. That's why I always wait until series are finished. But yeah, it was so good. I can't say anything else really about it, except that it's really, really good and I need people to read this. And it's just so fast paced and fun. And you know, if you like action heavy books where something is happening at all times, I think you will really enjoy this. So I will go into some spoilers now. If you haven't read City of Brass, please skip ahead. If you want to hear my spoiler-free thoughts on the second book, just use the chapters down below, so you're safe. But yeah, I think I have a couple of things I need to talk about. Now, I actually don't remember where I was at when I did my halfway check-in. But yeah, I think like the things that happen at the end of this book are pretty much overshadowing everything right now in my brain. So yeah, we have a lot of reveals. We finally learn what's going on with Dara. Obviously, we know that he has been, not a great person. He was a fearsome warrior who did some horrible things, but at the end we learn what he actually did. And yeah, I'm intrigued to see whether we will get some more details from his point of view later in the series. But right now, he's not dead, but definitely gone. So I don't know how that will turn out. Like if we will even get him in the second book, I have no idea. Obviously, right at the end, we learn that the ring was preserved, so there might be a possibility to get him back in the end, but it doesn't seem like anything that will happen like very, very soon. We also learn about the person who is supposed to be Nari's mother, who seems to be alive actually, and there seems to be kind of a plot going on there. I'm not quite sure. Like, we have this guard character who the emir is in love with, and he seems to be maybe related to Nari. I don't know, but it is a possibility. At least he's not what he seems. So I'm very, very intrigued to see what the hell is going on there. Like, it is such a big cliffhanger to just end with this like epilogue. I really enjoyed the epilogue. I don't really usually with books, but in this one it worked really well. I think it's interesting because we get the vizier kind of pulled up as someone that we're wary of, like who's more on the enemy side. Like, we get him portrayed by Ali for the first time, and Ali is definitely not friendly with him. And also Nari isn't really, yeah, I don't think that she actually really thinks kindly of him. So I thought it was so interesting to get this epilogue from his point of view, and we see that he's like really trying to just protect his people and especially his son. And I thought it's so interesting that he also seems to know that his son is in love with the emir, and he doesn't seem to mind, which I think is great, obviously. But something very unexpected with his character. He's talking. There's this one line that he's like mad at the emir because he's broken his son's heart so many times. So it's very obvious that he knows what's going on there. Also with Ali, like, I cannot see where this is going to go now, because he was just sent into the desert without his title or any money. So he was like, okay, I'm just gonna be murdered at some point probably, because people will figure out that I'm not protected by my father anymore. So I really liked that whole scene as well, the way that the king also talked about his feelings when his second son was born. I think you can really tell that he loves him, and there's this one moment where he almost says that he thinks that Ali would be the better king compared to his older brother. So yeah, I'm really intrigued to see where that goes. I definitely think it had a good build-up, a very interesting scene, also the way they were not looking at each other and stuff like that. It was just very, very good and very fascinating. I really loved that. So yeah, I mean, there's so much going on. I just really enjoyed the way that Nari also tried to like get control back by going to the king and actually starting like the marriage discussions on her own, basically. Obviously, that set up a lot of shit, and it probably was not the best idea. but I really liked that that was a moment where she was like really trying to get stuff back into her own control, the way that she was suffering from not having control, and the way that she always wanted to have the opportunity to learn how to cure people and help them heal. But now she is in that situation, but people expect her to just do it without any training, and the way that frustrated her. I think that was portrayed really, really well. And I just enjoyed that moment where she was like sitting down and just practicing to do this one procedure on her own, because like she never got the time to do it, and the way she was like, no, I have that opportunity now, I'm not going to throw that away. I really love that. I think that she is a great character, no matter what. But that was one of those moments where I was like, yeah, girl, you got it. But then obviously all the men around her had to ruin it again. So we'll see. We'll see how this can be fixed now. I really have no idea where the second book will go, to be honest. And I think that's a great thing after a first book, when you don't know immediately what's gonna happen next. So yeah, I'm very, very happy to start that tonight, and I will let you know when I'm halfway through that one. So I am halfway through A Kingdom of Copper, and I thought it would be time for an update. Now, this book starts with a bit of a time jump. The events of this book actually take place 5 years after City of Brass, and I was very glad because someone on a Discord reminded me of that before I went into the book. And usually I really don't like time jumps. I really don't. So it's always good to know that they're coming. And then I also feel like this book does it really, really well, because we have a bit of a prologue that is carrying it over. So we get the answers to the questions we have at the end of City of Brass, like what's going to happen to these characters, before we do the time jump to 5 years later. But just keep in mind, if you're sensitive to time jumps, that we have one right here. Except from that, this book now has 3 perspectives and not the 2 that we had in the first book. I'm not gonna say who these perspectives are, because you don't really know who survives the first book, but we definitely have new perspectives, maybe plural, I'm not gonna say. So I must say that I think I enjoyed the 2 perspectives we got in the first book a little bit more. I think there's definitely new stuff that we get here that I'm not that intrigued by, and the stuff that is continuation of the first book perspective-wise, I enjoy much more. But I think it is really hard to have multiple perspectives and them all being equally engaging. So I was actually really surprised how well the first book did it, and I can forgive this book a little bit that it's not doing as great as the first book did in that regard. Apart from that, I'm still really enjoying the series, and I think the kind of pacing stays very similar. There's always something going on, some intrigue, some plans, some nefarious things. So yeah, there's not a boring page in this book, I would say. I'm definitely enjoying every single thing I'm reading, but as I said, I enjoy some perspectives more than others. I really thought I would be a little bit quicker with this, but it does definitely take me a while to read these books because, as I said, the font is like really small, and this book is even bigger than the first one, and the last one will be a tiny little bit bigger than this one again. So yeah, it's definitely a commitment to read this series, but one that I thoroughly enjoy, and I would still highly recommend if you're interested. So I can't really say a lot plot-wise because spoilers for the first book, but I think that it's definitely a series where the themes continue, and even though you have like quite the explosive ending of City of Brass, all that's going on is continuing on in this book. And yeah, like nothing has been really resolved yet. There's quite some mysteries where we don't really know how certain things worked, but we will probably find out at some point. And yeah, I'm just really intrigued to see where it goes. I'm pretty sure this one will have a banger ending as well. But yeah, I think that's all I want to say that is non-spoilery. I think I will mention some spoilery bits now, so just use the chapters to skip over it if you don't want to be spoiled for the Kingdom of Copper. I must say that I was very happy we have the prologue. I think without it, I would have not enjoyed the time jump, but it was good to see the kind of journeys of our characters after the first book. I think I really like what's happening to Ali. Like the whole desert thing was so interesting to me, and his new powers with the water. That was really intriguing, and I really enjoyed the way that he found this like village there, and he really built it up, and he learned this like new kind of life. And I really hope that now he's back in Daevabad that we will actually see that change him a little bit as well. I'm a bit worried that he will fall into his old character again now that he's back, but I haven't seen enough of him to be really sure of that. He is a bit naive, to be honest, especially in the way that he runs to Nari as soon as he's back in Daevabad, and she's like not having it at all. That could have been something he could have known, but yeah. With Nari's story, I really enjoyed as well. I think that I really didn't see coming that she would marry the emir so fast. I really thought that they might make that arrangement, but the marriage would be later. But no, they're like full on married by now. And I do enjoy seeing her struggle with that. I really enjoyed the portrayal of lust in this. There's only like small hints to it, but you can definitely see that even though she doesn't love him and she doesn't even like him, he can spark her lust. And I thought that was very interesting because you don't really get that in a lot of books. Where there's no romance in a romantic sense, but there's some lust in a more sexual sense. I'm really intrigued to see where that goes. Like, obviously, the romancy things with her are usually going on with other characters. So is he gonna die? Or what's gonna happen? So that maybe she will have a happy end with the romance. But maybe she won't, like... Who knows? Who knows? But I think that was very interesting. Another thing I really like is that they're now trying to build up that hospital again, and just seeing her more centered in her role as a healer now is really enjoyable to me. And yeah, I'm intrigued to see what happens with the whole hospital idea, because there seems to be a darkness there. I would guess that they also experimented on people in there, because that's what we actually see with her mother. And there we come to Dara's point of view, which is actually the one that I don't enjoy that much. Like, I'm always a little bit bored with his chapters, but I love the other two perspectives so much. But yeah, we see that Nari's mother is experimenting on these two guards that they captured, and she obviously experimented on Dara as well to bring him back in his like original form, which he's not really happy about, and I wouldn't be either, because that's some scary shit. So I would suppose that the Nachids always experimented on people, and that is why they attacked the hospital during the war. But yeah, I'm also intrigued to see where that goes. Like, but I'm just not that interested, because like Dara is more of the like war planning chapters, and as we established in my Poppy War vlogs, that's just not what I'm interested in so much. And then we have the what is he called, Grand Vizier and his son, which I still really enjoy reading about, and I'm intrigued to see where that storyline goes. It is good to see some queer representation in here as well. And I really love the way that the Grand Vizier talks about his son's feelings for another man. And yeah, that was also something I just loved about the ending of City of Brass, and I'm glad that this was also brought back up here again, where he like very explicitly says that he doesn't care about the sexuality of his son. He just wants him to be happy, and he's not happy with the choice of man because he knows that there won't be any happiness found there for his son. So I really appreciated that, that portrayal of a supportive parental figure that is also like in such a high standing, and in the first book we get presented a bit as the bad guy. So yeah, I really enjoy this. As I said, I enjoy pretty much every page, but I just like the chapters in Daevabad with Ali and Nahi a little bit more than Dara's point of view. And I'm a bit scared what's gonna happen. Like, we have this like big feast coming up, like this big celebration, and we all know that shit's gonna go down during that celebration, and I don't know whether I'm ready for that. So I will keep reading. I hope I can finish the book this week, and I will keep you updated once I'm done. I have 100 pages left of this, and somebody please tell me how I'm supposed to survive this. How? Why? How? This book. So the lighting is probably very horrible, but I have just finished The Kingdom of Copper, and I need to get this out there. This book put me through everything today. Like, I have read, I don't know, 150 pages or something, even more, 180 pages of this today. And I read very slowly. I basically spent the whole day reading. Like, the only other thing I did today was clean my apartment a little bit and watch some videos in the morning. So I was obsessed. I had to finish this. It was so crazy. All the twists and turns and characters dying like left and right. It was so super crazy. So if you decide to pick this series up, keep in mind that this one will fuck with you. It will take your feelings, it will take your heart, it will rip it out, and it will enjoy it. This is so much evil. Like, the second half of this was just so crazy. Like, the last 200 pages for real were stuff that, you know, I couldn't put it down. So I'm very glad that I had a whole Saturday to myself today to just devour this book. I gave it 5 stars. Is that a correct assessment of its quality? I'm not so sure. I mentioned at the halfway check-in that I did actually enjoy the beginning of this a little bit less than the first book, but the second half definitely made up for this. And yeah, it was just so wild, and I haven't read a book that was so wild in a very long time. Like, for me to like just read and read like all day, that hasn't happened in forever. So I think I have to give it 5 stars for that, to be honest. It's just, yeah, I don't even know where to start with this. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about is where this third book might go now from the point we're at. It might be that this is not a direction that I enjoy very much, but we'll see about that. I will definitely start that later tonight or tomorrow. So yeah, this is a series you don't want to have to wait around for the next book. But yeah, it was really good. Just so crazy. So crazy. So yeah, I'm gonna go into a couple of spoilers now. So please skip over this if you haven't read the book yet, because you don't want to be spoiled for this stuff. Just trust me. We get to the point where they're starting to build the hospital. I think I talked a little bit about that. I mean, we all knew that this wasn't going to go well, but like honestly, the way it was fucked up made me so angry. Like, I have talked about the Grand Vizier before, and really in this book, he just changed back into such an asshole, and I wanted to kick him so bad. I think it just hurts so much to have Nahri and Ali, and you just want them to succeed because they have the right intentions, but they're just in this city where succeeding is just not in the cards for them. So it's just really hard to always see them like get back up there, standing back up, and then just being pushed down again into the dirt. So that's just like so heart-wrenching. And I really enjoyed the dynamics with the Shafid doctor. Now, she's probably dead too. We don't know, but like probably like, did anyone survive what just happened? We don't know. Yeah, but I really, really enjoyed their interactions, and it would have been so interesting to explore that more, but we only get very few glimpses of that. And I think that this vision Nahri had was like really, really great, and I would have loved to see that, and I hope that at some point during the last book maybe it will come to actually pass. We'll see. I still think that having Dara's chapters wasn't really helpful for me. It also leads to the point where you already know some things that will happen during the like later parts of the book, so the twists aren't that surprising, and I don't know if it would have been wise to cut them out. Now obviously during the end it might make sense to have a few of his chapters, but I think the suspense would have been even bigger if we wouldn't have known where he is and what he's doing. And I also think that I didn't really care about it when I read the chapters of his perspective. That's still a critique that I have, but it's a very minor one. But yeah, like all the intrigue, the way that the king treats Ali is just so horrendous. And let's talk about the emir, about Nahri's husband. He is such a douche for all of this book. Like, he's insufferable. I wanted to punch him like so many times during this book. And then when he starts coming around and you're starting to be hopeful for him, he practically dies. And I'm like, oh my God, like he's sacrificing himself for Ali. And I was like, I know this can't be happening. And then at the end we learn he's not actually dying because somehow they broke the whole magic of Daevabad and now he lives. And I'm very, very worried about Ali's sister because I love her as a character. She's so fierce, she's so fun. I want to see more of her. But obviously the last thing we know of her is that she is going to get Ali from the Citadel, and she's leaving with the woman friend he made in the desert. But we have no idea what happens to them afterwards, and I love both of these characters, so this has me very worried. The whole romance thing with Ali and Nahri, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure whether I really ship it. I do think it's kind of cute how he's in love with her, but I don't think that she really feels that way. We'll see, but yeah, I don't ship it, to be honest. I don't ship her with Dara too much either. I think that she would be such a cool character to basically end up alone but the queen. Not that I want her to be alone, but like just she's so amazing that I don't think she needs a man by her side. You know what I mean? So we'll see where the last book takes us. But I do think that Dara is moving into the not redeemable part of a warrior. So yeah, I'm very intrigued to see where that goes. I don't ship anything here right now because it all is a little bit weird. And I mean, her husband is still alive, so there's that. But yeah, what else can we talk about? Obviously, her brother. Yes, we already knew about that, but now a lot of people know. So I can totally see him work with his mother if he doesn't know about the emir or to protect him. But that would be like very dangerous, I think. And then we also learn that Nari really is a Shafit, so it will be interesting to see how that works out in the end, because yeah, like who is her father? There's so much still unanswered and so much that can go wrong with this. So the suspense is definitely still there. And now I was just in a reading sprints and we did like 30-minute sprints. I was in the chat and I would always update after half an hour who else had died in this book. And I think I got some people to be interested in it, which is cool. They were dying. Like we have, what's her name, Nisreen. We have the guy from the desert that came with Ali to Daevabad, which I really didn't see coming. I really thought he would live, but alas, he did not. I think you have to prepare yourself emotionally for this book. Like I still can't believe what I just read. And really there's this scene where the Emir explains to Nari how the seal is placed from one person to another. And during that scene, I was like, they're gonna kill him. Like, now he's given up what he knows. Now he can die. And I wasn't wrong. So, yeah, there's lots of little evil stuff in here. They also destroyed the library, which I thought was rude. And, yeah, with Dara's new form and his new abilities, I'm not sure how I feel about that. But yeah, this whole like experimenting on others and stuff is definitely painting Nari's mother as the evil person for the last book. Like, she seems very irredeemable as well. But I hope that we will get to know a little bit more about their family and how Nari exists and how she came to be in Egypt. We get a few glimpses of like things she remembers at the end of this. So I do hope that we will get more clarity in the next book. I can't remember half of what happened to me today with this book. So I think it is time to start the last one. But I'm so glad that this series is turning out to be just as good as I wanted it to be after the Poppy War, which just did not grab me at all. Because usually in October, and we're in October now, I do read a lot of spooky reads, but I really wanted to finish the series off before I do that. And so I was worried that if the series wasn't good, I would like really regret it. But I'm not. I'm not regretting this. And I definitely want to read the last book now. And that's exactly what I will do. And I will update you once I'm halfway through that. So I'm now halfway through, what is it called? The Empire of Gold. And I'm really enjoying this last book as well. I think that the first half, again, is a little bit calmer, but there's still a ton of things happening. We get some revelations, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it. We still have the 3 perspectives, and I still feel like 2 would be enough. I'm a little bit annoyed at the 3rd perspective, but there was a really cool scene in that 3rd perspective just before I finished reading. So it is fun, but I still feel like, we don't necessarily need the 3rd perspective. But apart from that, I'm having so much fun with this series and I would highly recommend it. I don't know if I'm prepared for the ending now. We'll see about that, but I'll definitely let you know when I get there. So yeah, I will be traveling back home from this beautiful place today. So I hope I get some more reading done, and hopefully can update you very soon on how I like the ending of the series. I will go into a couple of spoilers now, not too many, because I have to leave soon, and I hope the wind isn't too bad actually. So we'll see how the audio turns out. It's a little bit windy today. I think there is the whole trip with Ali and Nari, and we actually see them kind of develop feelings for each other. I still don't know how I feel about that whole thing. I don't really ship them. I said that before, but I'm intrigued to see where it goes romantically. But it's definitely interesting because they just don't talk to each other about it. So if you like that kind of like pining romance, I think that would be good for you. I also think it's really interesting how they worked with the pirates now to get to the palace of Ali's mother. And I'm intrigued to see whether we will see more of them. And actually, Nari has revealed that she is Shafid to a couple of people now, so that will definitely, I think, play a big role in the ending as well. I think it's very interesting that the ring doesn't want to be with Ali, so we still don't know a lot about the connection with the Marid, but I guess it has something to do with that, so it will probably not stay with him. I'm very confident about that. I really liked the scene between Dara and Ali's brother. I thought it was so funny, but as I said, Dara's point of view is just, at the beginning I was so annoyed with him because he's like whining about how he doesn't want to kill more people, but then he's always just doing it, and he's not really good with politics. Like, he's a warrior, he doesn't really know how to deal with people in a non-violent way, and you can totally see that. But I thought at the beginning he was just a bit whiny, so I'm intrigued to see where his character goes now. But I really like the dynamic with Ali's brother, and they just found the crypt where I stopped reading, so it's also gonna be interesting to see how that turns out, because the magic is gone and now all the hidden stuff has vanished, and they could just basically stroll in there. We'll see. And I still don't know how I feel about Nari's mother. She seems like a bit of a maniac, and I think it's so interesting to see how you can't conquer a city for revenge and then run it. That just doesn't work. And so this is really painful to read about, but I still am interested to see where it goes, and I just really hope they manage to save the city. On the other hand, I could totally see it fall apart, so that the Marid have their lake back. We'll see. So I think we will still get more revelations. Neri has just reunited with her brother as well, and he now knows. So there's still a lot that can go right and wrong with the series. I still have a lot of it to read, and I will update you when I'm finished. So I'm back. I finished Empire of Gold last night, and I'm very happy about it because I enjoyed it a lot. And so I'm here now to talk about the final book, and what can I even say? I really enjoyed this last book. I think I still liked it a little bit less than the second one. The second one is my favorite, and so I decided to give this last one 4.5 stars again. But it was really, really great, and the whole series was great, and I would highly recommend reading it, to be honest. I think that if you're into fantasy, if you want a really fun desert fantasy, you really can't go wrong with this one. This last one wasn't quite as tumultuous as the second one was. I feel like even though there was a lot at stake, the things were resolved a little bit quicker. And because of that, it just didn't have that big of an impact at the end. What I really did enjoy is that the book definitely takes some time at the end to really wrap things up, not in a way that, you know, you have like this little bow at the end, but there's just a lot of like answers given that I really appreciated. And what I really liked is that, at least in my copy, there is an kind of alternative epilogue that really reminded me of the Marvel movies that always have this little scene at the end. It was really reminiscent of that, because we get a final glimpse of some side characters and what they're up to in the future, and it almost reads like there could be a follow-up book about what they're up to, which I wouldn't be mad about at all. I would love that. So we'll see, maybe one day. I also really want to check out the short story collection now. I usually don't like it when a series has a short story collection to go with it, because I never really know when to fit it in and whether it's necessary or not. But with this world, I honestly can't get enough, so I'm pretty sure that I will check out the short story collection at some point as well. This was a very enjoyable experience, and especially after not really being a fan of the Poppywood trilogy, this definitely gave me back hope. I have one more series to finish this year now, and so I'm positive that I can do that as well. As I said, please read the series. It's so fun. It's so cool. I really liked it. I think I will go into some spoilery bits now. So if you haven't read the book, then thank you so much for watching, and I hope I will be able to welcome you back to a new reading vlog soon. Subscribe if you want and leave a like. And if you have read this book, let's discuss a little bit more. Now, I don't really remember where we left off with my last update, which is always a problem. But a lot of things are revealed in this book, and I can't really talk about anything or everything because it's just too much. But I thought I can talk about a couple of things. And one of the first things I want to mention is the question of Nari's parents, because I thought that was like a bit weird. We do learn quite quickly in the series that there is a mother that Nari has, who is a very powerful person, and then we later learned that this person is actually still alive. But then the more we learn, the less likely I felt like it would be that that really is her mother. And that's mainly because we learn that her mother has a lover, and they've been in love for many, many years, and they actually grew up together and stuff like that. And so I was always like, how did this woman, who's like super in love with her childhood best friend and has a son with him, how does she have an affair with a being she doesn't really see as her equal? Like, how does that work? It does not work. And so I was really relieved at the end that this was actually not the truth, and that she's not Nari's mother. But yeah, I really feel like, I felt like, yeah, okay, thank you, because it would have bugged me if there wasn't more to it. So I thought that was very interesting, and definitely something you can see coming, but then when it's real, you're still like, So yeah, I did enjoy that. I think that we could have learned a little bit more about her father. I would have really enjoyed that. And I think especially with that whole thing, the timeline doesn't really make sense to me yet, because we have these few glimpses of memories that Nari gets, and then she sees the things that happened out of the perspective of her mom right at the end. I really couldn't put it together in a way that made sense to me. The way that, when was Dara brought back? How did it work? Like, how did they find the ring again? And who's the one who died to bring him back? Like, was it Nari's father? Was it someone else? I thought that was all a little bit scattered at the end, and it felt a little bit like giving an answer that was not thought through enough. So maybe it does make sense and I'm just stupid and I just can't put the things together in the right order. Because there's also this scene when Nari remembers someone with green eyes, which would imply that maybe Dara was there when her village was destroyed. But then he would have had to be brought back. But for that, they would have had to find the ring again. So yeah, I thought it was a little bit confusing at the end how it like actually played out, but we get like the main gist of it, so I think that's the important part. Apart from that, we also learn a lot about Ali's heritage, which I also thought was very interesting. We have this whole scene in the ocean with Tiamat, I think it is. I thought it was interesting, but also, I don't know, like these scenes with these like higher beings, with the Marit and with the Peris, I wasn't really sure how I felt about that, because they all have their like own rules and they help you in some cases but don't help you in other cases. And I just never really felt like it made a lot of sense. It always felt kind of convenient. Like, why do the Peris decide to help Nari with the dagger? And why do they stop when she threatens to kill herself and stuff like that? Like, that all felt a little bit too easy to me for the way these like beings are presented. And same with the Marit, like the way they turned around and then actually helped Ali was a bit too easy for me, especially since during the battle they all really help and you don't know why, like what is their motivation in that moment. And then obviously Nari takes Daevabad and moves it out of the lake, if I understood it correctly. And then Ali creates like a little river next to it to separate it from the lake. And that also felt a little bit easy. Like that still, does that really help the lake? I don't know. Like it seemed like pretty much destroyed. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. But I thought like these connections between these different types of beings could have been explored just a little bit further, and a lot of it just felt very convenient to me. So I think that's something I didn't really enjoy. The other thing that I didn't really enjoy was the villain of the story. So we have Nari's mother, supposed mother, who is the villain. And in this book, I got really frustrated with it. For one, I have somewhat of an issue when women are villains, because there's always something that irks me about it usually, because their motivations are, I don't know, I always have a hard time with it. You really have to do a female villain well to sell it to me. And I don't think that really worked for me here either, because there's just some of these things that are just motivators that I had a little bit of a hard time with. But apart from that aspect, what really frustrated me was the moment when she enslaved Dara, because that was the moment when she got so powerful, and it actually took my enjoyment out of reading it. I really didn't enjoy the way that she had like all the power for a couple of chapters and Dara really couldn't do anything. It was absolutely disgusting to read. Yeah, it gives me like bad anxiety when I read characters like that, when the villain just gets more and more and more power and you get to the point where they can do anything and they can destroy anything. I just don't like that vibe. I just don't enjoy that. I think that to have a powerful villain, they don't have to have like all the power. Like I want to see their limits as well. I think that the way Dara in the end kind of tricked her was smart. Like, we give him that. But honestly, he has served so many masters in his life. And he obviously doesn't remember that. But I just felt like there could have been a little bit more. Like, we have his whiny ass perspective for this whole book. And that's another gripe I have. Like, he's such a whiny ass, and he does all the things he constantly complains about again and again and again. And I wanted to shake him badly. So I would have wished that we see him struggle and come up with a plan to free himself again, and not have that from Nari's point of view, and all we get from him is complaining, to be honest. So yeah, those were a couple of things that I didn't really enjoy. Now, what I did enjoy a lot and I wanted more of was Zainab. I love her. I think she's amazing. And I want a book from her perspective, please. Like, I would have changed Dara's perspective for hers any minute in this book. Like, I wanted to know what she was up to. She was like leading a fucking rebellion in a city with a villain who is like so powerful. I want to know, like, she made contact to the Deva priests. How did she do it? Like, I want to know. Why did I have to listen to Dara whining when I could have seen this amazing woman keeping it all together? Like, this is a woman who has lived in a palace, who was pampered and everything. And then she gets thrown in this horrible situation where she's separated from all of her family, and she fucking stands up. And I wanted to see that. And I didn't get it. So I'm mad about that. But as I said, with the like alternative epilogue, if we ever get kind of like a sequel where we see Akiza, I don't know how to say it, Zainab and Dara hunt for the not the relics, what are they called? Like the rings, the slave rings and stuff. If we ever get that, I will buy that immediately. I would love that. Overall, really loved it. I think that what I also really enjoyed about the ending is that the relationship of Ali and Nari wasn't like super crazy resolved in the end. We didn't see them marry, we didn't see them get children. I was very happy about that because I felt like it left off in a very realistic way. And yeah, they have a lot of time. Like, they live long as lives, so they can take their time with it. And I'm glad for them. I think there's one more thing I wanted to say this whole time. Yeah, and that was the sentient palace. Love that. I need more books with sentient buildings, to be honest. It's one of my favorite things and it was really fun. I really enjoyed this series. Let me know what you thought. I've already talked with a couple of people about it, but I always want to hear more. So let me know your thoughts and I will talk to you soon. Bye!